All right, back for another beer review, and today I'll be reviewing yet another beer from the DankHouse Brewing Company, and they are out of Newark, Ohio, and this is their Digi Digi Digi. So this is a triple IPA that is brewed with Citra, Strata, and Nectaron hops. It comes in at 10% alcohol by volume. No IBUs listed. Time of review. This can is just under 3 weeks old. I'm going to give a huge thanks and shout out once again to a very good friend of mine and viewer of the channel, Curtis, for this beer. So huge thanks to him. In the description box, I'll post a link to the beer mail unboxing video I did that contains all the goodies that Curtis sent my way. And he sent me 6 beers in total, 4 of which were hop forward. And this is the 4th and final hop forward beer from said beer mail that I am reviewing. And I'm pretty stoked for this one. The other beer that I've reviewed from DankHouse on the channel also came from Curtis earlier this year. It was their Steamy Showers. I love the artwork of these guys, which we'll talk about in a second, but that beer was also just quite delicious. You got a big triple IPA, Citra, Strata, Nectaron, sign me up. Now, when I unbox this, I wasn't thinking at all. I typically, when I unbox stuff, I really don't think, but I don't really think on my channel in general. But I was like, something is kind of, different about this. It's very familiar, this label and the name and stuff. And then I looked on the bottom of the can and I didn't see it the first time, but it says Woo Forever. And then I'm thinking Digi Digi Digi. And then I saw their Untapped write-up, and this is an homage to the RZA from the Wu-Tang Clan, and more specifically his alter ego Bobby Digital. And I just, the artwork is just absolutely fantastic with this beer. Like, man, I hope it's a delicious beer. And I'm sure it is, because I want to keep this can and put it behind me on the pretentious wall of bottles and cans. So, a couple things. If you're new to the channel, when it comes to triple IPAs, 2 things I wanted to do. Hide the alcohol, because I don't like boozy hop-forward beers. And also, don't be too sweet, because sweetness impedes the drinkability, especially when it comes to hop-forward beers. For myself, and I don't have nails, so I can't open this up. Oh, it's spewing out already. Oh, gross. Oh, ugh. Oh, there's like sludge coming out. Now, so I will say this, when it comes to hop forward beers that I know are going to be super hazy and whatnot, like Hop Butcher beers, I keep them upside down in my fridge until I review them. And I did that with this, and there was like sludge at the top. So it all fell to the top of the can because I had it upside down. Whatever. We're going to try to make this work. Oh, it's looking really nice though. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Oh, it smells and really good. A little bit of taste there. So, be honest with you, this looks like it's slightly oxidized. Now, does that mean it's going to be oxidized? It is not, but I don't know how it's going to come off on camera, but in person it has this really deep, dark, like orange color, but it has a little bit of grayness to it, like a very slight off gray. Hold it up to a light, looks beautiful, about a finger and a half of a super tightly compacted like head. It looks just very creamy and just delicious. That looks like a beautiful beer, albeit, like I said, a little bit of that darker kind of look to it. Could be just like a darker malt they're using, but I wouldn't say this is oxidized, but the looks of it, it has a little bit of oxidation. That would be my guess, but let's hope not, because I want this to be delicious. Doesn't smell oxidized. Wow. It smells like a mixture of freshly squeezed orange juice, passion fruit juice, with a little bit, just a touch of like a stone fruit, like a peach or an apricot or something. Ooh, floral. Has a little bit of like a resin, like a dank resinous quality. Touch of that confectionery vanilla thing, which I have gotten with oxidized beers before. But now I'm looking at this, honestly, it doesn't really look that oxidized. Maybe it was just the angle with the shadows and stuff. Yeah, it doesn't. It just looks a little bit darker. Yeah, I get that confectionery vanilla from some breweries, and I know other people get it out there. Like, there's quite a few fellow beer tubers that definitely get it. Whew. Yeah, so a little bit of that confectionery vanilla with the orange juice, passion fruit juice, a touch of like a peach and like an overripened peach or apricot, maybe even a bit of mango, and then that floral, dank, resinous kind of quality. Smells really fucking good. No sign of the alcohol whatsoever. Let's get into it. Cheers, everybody. Thanks again, Curtis. It's exactly what it is. And it's really nice. It almost has, I know this is going to sound wild, but I've gotten this before. Almost has like a slight like tartness. Or slight, I shouldn't even say tartness. More of like an acidic feel. Like there's actual juice in here, but there's not. Body and mouthfeel are fucking superb. Body on this, lower side of full into like medium full. It's not too thick and syrupy and over the top, but it also has more of a viscosity than you might anticipate, but it is 10%, so that makes sense. The mouthfeel is fucking just dynamite. Soft, smooth, creamy. This has a lighter carbonation, like a mild to moderate carbonation, more towards the mild. It's not flat, but it's just more of a mild carbonation. It's very smooth on the palate, and it has a nice creaminess. Look at that glass lacing, fucking phenomenal. Yeah, the nose carried over. Front of the palate, a little bit of white bread dives underneath the palate. It's not really omnipresent, but it just hits me at the front of it, and then it just kind of dissipates. And then waves of freshly squeezed orange or tangerine juice. A little bit of that passion fruit I was talking about. You could even say guava, or dare I say lychee, something in that realm. Then midway through the palate, I get hit with like a big pop of stone fruit. I'm getting more like peach, apricot, maybe even mango. There is a little bit of that like vanilla kicking around. It's not giving me like creamsicle vibes, but there's like, it's accentuating the palate and kind of just giving me a little bit of like an extra kind of tasting note that I didn't expect, but it's not too big. The finish is really nice. Why? This is quite dry. This is a moderate to almost full dry beer. Very mild bitterness, but it's quite dry. And it has a little bit of that like floral, dank, resinous quality I was talking about on the finish. Really breaks up the monotony and all that sweet, juicy fruit at the forefront. Here's the beauty about this thing. Two things. Number one. Yeah, number one is that like I said at the beginning, can't be sweet, can't detect a booze. Number one, this is not crazy sweet for 10%. It leans a little bit sweet, but you're gonna get that from triple IPAs, just how it works typically. But that firm dryness or almost firm dryness really balances out. And I really do think that floral, dank, resinous quality on the finish really stops the sweetness in its tracks and just stops it from, you know, becoming too cloying or just kind of lingering on the palate where it would build up after sip after sip. Look how much I've drank of it. And there's no detection of alcohol. So number two, no detection of alcohol on the palate. There's a nice warming in my chest, but on the palate, nothing. So this is an extremely, extremely well done triple IPA. Now I'm pouring in the rest of the goodies because most of the goodies are already in here because, like I said, like you can see on the top there, that's usually the type of shit that you see in like a bottom of a Hop Butcher glass or can. All the grossness there, all the proteins and everything. But because I keep them upside down, I do keep Hop Butchers upside down, but usually I use the big Hop Butcher glass and I just pour it all in. So, and very rarely will I see that kind of come to the forefront or when I crack open the can. So let's do one more sip. I'm gonna lock in a rating. Oh yeah, another thing, just under 3 weeks old, a very minute, just a smidge of a hop burn back of the throat, nothing too big. A lot of breweries, if I'm drinking this, you know, just under 3 weeks old, so let's say like 18 to 20 days old, my throat would be on fire. Back of my throat would just be like all raw. It wouldn't actually be raw, but you would just have the perception of it being raw because it would be just burning from the hop character. That's not happening here. Very minute. Very minute. All right, I got one more sip because I'm in between two scores. I really want to make sure that I appropriately rate this one. Ratings don't matter. I'll be honest with you, this is for a triple IPA with those three hops, kind of what I'm expecting. It's very simplistic. A little bit of white bread, those three fruits I was talking about. Juicy orange or tangerine, passion fruit. Like I said, you say guava, lychee, but really passion fruit. And then any kind of stone fruit you really want to mention, I would say peach at the forefront. It's those three, say, fruits, a little bit of that white bread, and then that floral kind of dank resinous quality on the finish. What really I think gives it a little bit more, I'm giving it a little bit more props because of two things. Hides the alcohol well, and the sweetness isn't overbearing. So I was between a high 4.25 or a low 4.5. I'm going to give this a low 4.5. So Digi 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 from DankHouse, I'm going to give this a 4.45. Why? Because I can. I was worried with the color of it. I'm like, oh, is this oxidized? Blah, blah, blah. No, it is not. It is totally not. My can is not oxidized. It's just, you know, I think when I start seeing the darker colors now, I start getting worried because it's starting to, I'm getting PTSD from like Equilibrium cans in the last couple of years where I've drank some of them. I'm like, oh my God, that looks gross. Nothing has really looked as bad as those cans that I've had. and I don't know if I've actually reviewed anyone, but you know, a lot of people out there drinks Equilibrium. You probably had the same issues over the past couple of years, but yeah, and the artwork. You got to give. I'm giving that 0.05 from a 4.4 to a 4.45 because of the artwork. It's fantastic. This is definitely going behind me, along with their Steamy Showers. Both of those will be on the pretentious wall of bottles and cans at some point for sure. So huge thanks, Curtis, for this one. 4.45 Digi 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 from DankHouse. Price point. He paid $5.75 for that can, and for some reason in the unboxing, I was like, oh, that's really expensive. Not really. It's a triple IPA. If you get a triple IPA from other half or any other hype breweries, yeah, they're typically in like the $22 to $24 range for a 4-pack, so that's not that expensive. I don't know what I was thinking. $5.75 is fine. Like under $6 a can for a triple IPA with those 3 hops, 10%. Yeah, I'm okay with it. So price point's fine. I don't know what is actually at the brewery, but he paid $5.75 for the can. And then availability is DankHouse. I'm sure you can find them in and around Ohio. I don't think they make it outside of the state at all. I've never seen them here in the Buffalo, New York area, but it's always cool when you have a viewer of the channel that's so kind, like Curtis, to send off some local goodness that he enjoys. And I can now safely say that DankHouse makes fantastic beer. They're 2 for 2 of the beers that I've reviewed on the channel. I also had a couple off camera that like a couple shares and whatnot, and they were pretty good as well. Not as good as these, but still pretty good. So DankHouse makes good beer. I wish I could get more of their stuff here locally, but this is a really tasty one. If you still see it out there and you're in Ohio, grab this one. Like I said, hides the alcohol well. It's not overly sweet. I want to say this is simplistic, but this is not like overly complex. It doesn't need to be. This is one of those beers that I say doesn't need to be complex to be good. There's like 4 or 5 different really tasting notes in this one, but they're executed so well that it's just a fun, enjoyable triple IPA. That's all you need. So if you've had this one before, please post in the comment section. I'll be curious to see what Curtis said about this one. I don't think he's checked it on Tapped. I don't know if he's actually even drank this one yet, because when he sent it to me, it was like a week old. So I don't think he even drank it yet, but it's just under 3 weeks old now. And I think I'm drinking it in the perfect condition. I think if I would have drank it like right after he sent that mail, probably a little bit too much hop burn for me, because there's only a little bit right now, but I think a couple weeks ago fresh, probably pretty big. So yeah, thanks again to Curtis for this beer. Appreciate everybody stopping by for another beer review here on the Beer Patrol. To the next one. Cheers. Oh yeah, I guess you could say there's like 5 or 6 tasting notes because that vanilla, although as I've taken more sips, the vanilla's kind of fading away. So maybe that was just like a shock to the palate. And now my palate's acclimated to it, and I'm really not getting the vanilla, but I'm actually kind of happy about that, because the vanilla makes it seem like it's a little bit too sweet. But now that I've taken the last couple sips, it really isn't. Just wanted to mention that. To the next one. Cheers.